You don't need more time, you need a mindset shift. Every minute you waste is a minute someone else is mastering. This speech will ignite your urgency, fuel your focus, and teach you how to stop surviving your day and start owning it. If you've ever felt like your 24 hours disappear with nothing to show, this will flip your perspective and teach you how the world's most driven people treat time like gold. Because it is. Don't manage time. Dominate it. The first hour of your day is the foundation for everything that follows. It's not about waking up early for the sake of it. It's about waking up with intention. That 1 hour holds the power to shape your energy, your mindset, and your entire direction. Most people start their mornings reacting to the world, scrolling notifications, checking emails, absorbing everyone else's agenda. But the game changes. They start by owning their space. They command the tone of the day instead of surrendering it. Silence isn't just peaceful, it's powerful. The noise of the world wants to program your mind before you've had a moment to breathe. So when you wake up, don't rush into the flood of other people's voices. Sit in stillness. Let your own voice return to you. That's where the real clarity lives. Not in the chaos, not in the feed, not in your endless task list. In silence, you remember who you are before the world tells you what to be. Once the silence has cleared your mental space, clarity becomes your next move. You need to know what matters before the noise tells you what's urgent. Most people confuse busy with productive because they never stop to define what actually moves the needle. But when you take just 10 minutes to set your intention, you flip the switch from reaction mode to leadership mode. This is how you step into the day with power, not panic. The first hour should also be movement, not just mindset. Your body carries your emotions. If you stay still, your energy stays stuck. This doesn't mean a full workout. It means activation. Move your energy with purpose. That motion tells your brain, oh, we're alive, we're ready, we're not hiding today. Your posture becomes your power source, and suddenly the world feels less heavy. Protect your mental inputs like you guard your money. In the first hour, avoid information overload. No news, no timelines, no inbox. Why? Because every input is either feeding your focus or stealing it. The brain is vulnerable first thing in the morning. Let it focus inward before it engages outward. Journal. Read something intentional. Listen to something empowering. Let your inputs build your strength, not drain it. There's also a discipline that comes with building your power hour. It's not glamorous. It's not always motivating. It's often repetitive. But that repetition is exactly what makes it powerful. Discipline in the first hour is discipline for the rest of your life. If you can master that one window of time, everything else starts to fall in line. You stop waiting for motivation. You move on command. Your phone is a trap. The second you touch it, you hand over the keys to your mind. Most people think they're checking in, but they're really checking out of alignment, out of clarity, out of control. That screen hijacks your dopamine and sets your focus on fire. And once it's gone, it's gone. You don't need to be reachable. You need to be centered. And no one can give that to you but you. Treat that first hour like sacred ground. No one enters. No one interrupts. It's not selfish. It's necessary. You're not just getting ready for the day. You're building the foundation for every decision, interaction, and breakthrough that follows. That hour is not a luxury. It's your launchpad. Everyone talks about time management like it's a calendar issue. But your calendar isn't the problem. Your energy leaks are. You don't burn out because you run out of hours. You burn out because your energy gets scattered, drained, and disrespected. Time is fixed, but energy is fluid. The question isn't just, oh, what am I doing right now? It's how am I feeling while doing it? Because how you feel determines how you perform. There are hours in your day when your mind is on fire, clear, alert, creative. That's your prime energy zone. Most people waste it on shallow work, other people's priorities, and tasks that could have waited. High performers, on the other hand, guard that window like it's sacred. They know you don't do your hardest work at your most tired hours. They schedule their focus around energy, not just tasks. This isn't time blocking. This is energy blocking. Think of your energy as a battery. Everything you say yes to either charges it or drains it. Conversations, environments, even your thoughts, they all have weight. You might spend 2 hours doing something and feel energized after, or spend 10 minutes with the wrong person and feel completely depleted. The shift happens when you stop measuring time and start measuring impact. How much did that cost you emotionally? What did that return to you mentally? You don't need to do more. You need to protect what matters most. Your energy is not infinite. When you give your best hours to distractions, you hand your power away in silence. The world rewards energy, not busyness. The loudest person in the room isn't always the one leading. The most intentional person is. People will pull on your time all day long. And if you don't have boundaries, you'll run on fumes by noon. It isn't a break, it's a strategy. Stop glorifying exhaustion. You can't create, lead, or love from a drained state. Build recovery into your day like it's part of your purpose. Because it is. This means breaks without screens, walks without headphones, time alone to reconnect. You don't recharge by escaping. You recharge by reconnecting to yourself. You don't need a vacation. You need to stop abandoning your own needs. The biggest myth is that working longer equals working smarter. No. The most dangerous trap is doing low-impact work for long hours and feeling like you've accomplished something. Real growth comes from high-impact presence, bursts of focused, aligned energy. That's why the people who seem to do it all aren't working more hours. They're just more awake during the hours they choose to work. Your body and mind are always sending signals. That mid-afternoon fog, that tension in your jaw, that sudden drop in patience, those aren't annoyances. They're red flags. You're not lazy. You're misaligned. If you paid attention to where your energy spikes and where it crashes, you'd rewrite your entire schedule. You'd stop blaming yourself and start supporting yourself. So stop obsessing over hours and start mastering your fuel. Protect your high energy windows. Remove the noise that drains you. Let go of guilt around rest. Stop measuring productivity by how exhausted you are. Your future doesn't need your time. It needs your power. Most people don't realize they're trading their potential for politeness. Saying yes feels good. It keeps the peace, avoids conflict, and earns temporary approval. But every yes you hand out without intention quietly robs you of energy, clarity, and control. Leadership isn't about doing everything. It's about doing what matters. And that means saying no, clearly, firmly, and unapologetically. When you say yes out of guilt, fear, or obligation, you betray your purpose. And that betrayal doesn't scream whisper. It shows up in the form of resentment, burnout, scattered focus, and that quiet inner voice that says, why do I always put myself first? People think boundaries are about pushing others away. No. Boundaries are about protecting your power, so you can show up with truth, not tension. Saying no doesn't make you rude. It makes you real. It means you value your time, your energy, and your vision enough to not dilute them. You weren't put here to be everyone's backup plan. You weren't meant to be available 24/7. The more access you give to everyone, the less power you have for yourself. And people respect what you protect, not what you constantly sacrifice. Leaders aren't the ones who can do the most. They're the ones who know what not to do. If everything is urgent, nothing is. If everyone has your time, no one has your full presence. The strength to say no comes from clarity, knowing who you are, what you're building, and why it matters. If you don't own that clarity, other people will write your script, and you'll spend your life performing in someone else's show. Every yes has a cost. A yes to the wrong thing means a no to deep focus. A yes to unnecessary drama means a no to emotional peace. A yes to distractions means a no to growth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. The people who love your boundaries will rise with you. The people who resent them were only attached to your convenience, not your truth. Powerful people don't chase harmony. They create alignment, and alignment means knowing your values and refusing to negotiate them for temporary comfort. This isn't cold. It's clean. It's direct. It's the difference between being liked and being respected. You don't need to be aggressive. You just need to be clear. Clear in your priorities, clear in your limits, clear in your direction. Saying no also trains your environment. It teaches people how to treat you. When you allow constant interruptions, last-minute demands, and energy-sucking chaos, you signal that your time is flexible. But when you honor your time like currency, you teach others to do the same. And what you tolerate sets the tone for your life. Stop fearing the discomfort of no. Start fearing the consequences of yes. You are not here to please everyone. You're here to build something unforgettable. And that starts with a 2-letter word, no. Your brain wasn't designed to multitask. It was designed to dominate. But too many people waste their brilliance bouncing between notifications, half-finished thoughts, and shallow work. Every time you switch tasks, you bleed focus. And once you lose focus, you lose power. The myth is that multitasking makes you efficient. The truth, it makes you exhausted and average. Task switching feels productive because your brain gets little dopamine hits, but it's fake momentum. You start writing an idea, a ping pops up, you reply, check your feed, remember something else, open a tab, forget why you even started. That's not flow, that's friction. Every bounce costs mental clarity, every shift delays depth, and the work that truly matters can't survive in fragments. Bouncing is a form of avoidance. You think you're staying busy, but what you're really doing is dodging depth. Because depth requires discomfort. It forces you to confront your insecurities, to stretch your limits, to be fully present with the hard stuff. So instead of leaning in, you bounce out to emails, to DM, to anything that lets you escape the pressure of real progress. Batching is the discipline of intention. You group similar tasks together. You clear space for deep work. You stop blending everything into one chaotic blur. This means setting time blocks. One for content creation, one for meetings, one for follow-ups, one for creative thought. You don't mix. You don't check in between. You go deep. You finish. You close it. Then you move. With control, not chaos. Focus is your superpower. And batching is how you protect it. When you stay on one task long enough, something magical happens. Flow. That state where time bends, your thoughts click, your confidence surges. But flow doesn't arrive in a distracted mind. It needs quiet. It needs commitment. It needs your full attention. Not 30%, not a while watching something else. It needs you locked in. You don't build anything great with half thoughts and scattered presence. You build it with full engagement. That thing you keep saying you don't have time for. It's buried under all the bouncing. And the moment you decide to batch, to carve sacred time for one mission at a time, you reclaim the edge that most people are too distracted to find. You also reclaim mental energy. Constant switching isn't just inefficient, it's exhausting. That's why some people work 10 hours and feel drained, while others get more done in 4 and still feel energized. The difference, they protect transitions. They don't leak energy in and out of meaningless pivots. They stay where their power lives. And single task presence. You don't need to rush. You need to lock in. Stop pretending you're productive just because your day was full. Start measuring progress by what was finished, not started. Batching is how you stop reacting and start executing. And the people who execute, they don't bounce, they build. Most people schedule their work, their meetings, their deadlines, but never their peace. They plan every obligation, every output, every hour of effort, but leave recovery to chance. That's not discipline. That's self-neglect. Peace is not what you earn after you've burned out. It's what you protect so you don't crash in the first place. High performers don't hustle until they drop. They know rest is fuel, not failure. Peace doesn't just happen. It's not going to knock on your door in the middle of chaos. You have to build it deliberately, intentionally, unapologetically. This means putting it on the calendar with the same authority you give a meeting or a deadline. You show up for your peace like you show up for your goals. Because peace is not passive, it's a choice. And in today's world, it's a radical one. You can grind all day, win the applause, stack the achievements, and still feel hollow if your soul is suffocated. That's what happens when your schedule honors your output but not your oxygen. When you leave zero room to breathe, reflect, or simply be, you lose the very fire that drives your excellence. This isn't about spa days or vacations. It's about presence. It's about silence between the noise. Recovery is a skill, and like any skill, it must be trained. There's a difference between collapsing at the end of a brutal day and choosing to rest before the crash. One is survival. The other is leadership. When you treat peace like a priority, you stop operating from burnout. You start building from alignment, and that shift from reacting to restoring changes everything. When you don't schedule peace, chaos fills the gap. Every moment of stillness becomes a window for guilt, anxiety, or distraction to crawl in. But when you intentionally carve out time to disconnect, to unplug, to center yourself, that's not weakness. That's where resilience is built. Because the strongest minds aren't the loudest. They're the quietest under pressure. Your nervous system is not a machine. You're not meant to be in fight or flight mode 24/7. When you normalize constant tension, you normalize dysfunction. That's why your creativity feels blocked. That's why your patience is low. That's why your sleep sucks. You don't need more motivation, you need restoration, the kind that only comes from true, scheduled, non negotiable peace. You want sharper thinking, clearer vision, deeper intuition. Then you need time away from the noise. You need moments when your mind isn't performing, achieving, or entertaining. It's breathing. This is where the real power regenerates. This is where your best ideas are born, not in overdrive, but in quiet alignment with who you are. Peace isn't what slows you down, it's what sets you free. And when you stop seeing rest as a reward and start treating it like a responsibility, your performance stops being a struggle and starts becoming sustainable. Your peace doesn't compete with your success, it protects it. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do things, it's about making it automatic. You don't need more willpower. You need systems. And one of the most powerful systems you can build is creating time triggers, linking specific times of day with specific intentional behaviors that pull you forward. Because if you don't train your day, the world will train it for you. Time triggers create rhythm. They turn scattered effort into predictable power. Think of athletes, their bodies respond to repetition. Their rituals are so precise that performance becomes muscle memory. That's what you need. Rituals so locked in that focus is no longer optional. It's just who you are. You don't decide to win every day. You design your day to make winning the default. Your brain loves patterns. It craves certainty. When you link time to behavior, eliminate decision fatigue. You don't wake up and wonder what to do. 6 a.m., movement. 9 a.m., deep work. Noon, refuel. 3 p.m., mental reset. 8 p.m., digital cutoff. You build the loop. You run the loop. And in that loop, your identity is forged. Time triggers aren't about rigidity. They're about rhythm. The same way music moves you. Rhythm drives you. And once you lock into a rhythm that aligns with your goals, you don't fight procrastination anymore. You beat it before it begins. Because you're not reacting, you're anchored. Your actions are now tied to the clock like anchors in the storm. Think about the times of day when you crash, when you wonder, when your discipline slips. What if instead of getting hijacked by those moments, you pre-programmed responses? You replace autopilot distractions with autopilot power. Instead of reaching for your phone, you reach for your journal. Instead of zoning out, you breathe in. Instead of scrolling, you reset. That's how you retrain your defaults. Small rituals shape massive transformation. One sip of water first thing, one sentence of gratitude, one stretch, one thought, one moment of stillness. They might seem small, but when they happen at the same time, every day, they compound into consistency. And consistency, that's what separates dreams from execution. Rituals turn goals into reality. Without time triggers, you live on randomness. You do great things sometimes, but with them, you build greatness daily. Your calendar stops being a graveyard of good intentions and becomes a system of excellence. You stop feeling lost in time and start leading time. The day doesn't own you anymore. You own it. You don't rise to the level of your potential. You fall to the strength of your systems. Build systems that pull you forward. Tie behavior to time. Let your future self thank you for the rituals you start today. Because when time becomes your ally, nothing can shake your focus. The truth is brutal. Most of your day isn't productive. It's performed. You're checking boxes, replying fast, staying available, but underneath it all, you know you're not moving forward. You feel busy, but you're not building. You feel drained, but not fulfilled. That's because 80% of what fills your hours is noise, shallow tasks, useless meetings, mindless scrolling, unaligned effort. And the only way to win is to kill the noise without apology. Busyness is a trap. It feeds your ego but starves your growth. People will applaud how much you do, how fast you respond, how much you would juggle, but they'll never see the cost. They won't see the mental clutter, the creative burnout, the feeling of being stretched thin while standing still. You're not overworked, you're underfocused. You're drowning in low-value tasks that feel urgent but are absolutely replaceable. Start with the meetings. Most of them are status updates that could have been a voice note. Most of them waste energy aligning people who don't even need to be in the room. If you didn't speak, move the needle, or walk away with a clear outcome, you didn't need to be there. Cancel it, decline it, replace it with focus. Leaders don't attend everything. They attend what matters. Then kill the shallow work, the to-dos that look productive but solve nothing. Answering non-critical emails, making decks no one reads, refining ideas you never execute. These tasks keep you feeling safe, but they keep you stuck. High performers don't major in minor things. They pick a few moves and go deep. They build the thing instead of just organizing the folder. They ship, not shuffle. And then there's the digital noise, the addiction to dopamine disguised as a taking a break. You open one app, then another, then another. You tell yourself it's just 5 minutes. But it's not just the time. It's the fragmentation, the lost momentum, the mental drain. You break your rhythm over and over until you forget what focus even felt like. Silence those tabs, block that feed. You're not missing out. You're reclaiming power. Don't just audit your calendar. Audit your output. Look at your last 7 days and ask, what actually created progress? What moved the mission forward? What built something real? Now cut everything that didn't. You don't owe your time to routines that deliver nothing. You owe it to your vision. Protect your bandwidth like it's the last fuel you've got, because it is. You don't need more hours. You need more honesty. Brutal, radical honesty about where your time goes and what it returns. You need to stop lying to yourself about how essential things are just because they keep you comfortable. Growth isn't comfortable. Clarity isn't comfortable. But wasting another year on noise? That should terrify you more than any rejection ever could. Ruthlessness isn't cruelty. It's clarity with commitment. It's saying, I didn't come this far to be busy. I came to build. I came to win. So cut the 80%, the distractions, the low-impact habits, the validation seeking. Free yourself from the noise. Because when you eliminate what doesn't matter, what does finally has room to rise? Most people let their day bleed into the night with no reflection, no reset, no closure. They go from chaos to exhaustion and call it a day. But champions, they don't end the day. They complete it. They don't just survive their hours. They own them, start to finish. The final hour is not the time to collapse into the couch or scroll until you're numb. If you finish in anxiety, distraction, or noise, your mind doesn't shut off. It spirals. Your sleep suffers. Your clarity fades. You wake up already behind. But when you close the day with intention, your mind signals, we did what we came to do. And that message becomes your mental reset. No unfinished loops. No self-doubt carried into tomorrow. Just closure, clean and clear. Review is your anchor. Before you shut down, look back. What did you actually accomplish today? Where did your energy go? What decisions moved you forward? And what distractions held you back? This isn't about judgment. It's about alignment. It's about learning your patterns so you don't repeat the same unproductive cycles again tomorrow. One quick review can recalibrate your entire momentum. Reflection is where wisdom lives. Ask yourself better questions. Did I show up the way I wanted to? Was I intentional with my words, my time, my presence? What drained me today? And how can I shift that tomorrow? This pause, this mirror moment is where real growth happens. Not in the hustle, not in the noise, not in the noise. In the stillness of self-awareness when the world finally quiets down. Reset means choosing tomorrow before it starts. Lay out your intentions. Write your top priorities. Prime your mind to focus before the distractions begin. Champions don't wait until morning to figure it out. They walk into the next day ready. That kind of momentum doesn't come from motivation. It comes from preparation, from knowing that tomorrow's win starts with tonight's mindset. Protect the last 30 minutes like sacred space. No news, no screens. No input, just reconnection. Breathe, stretch, read journal. Slow your system down so you can transition from performance mode to peace mode. This is how you teach your body to rest, not just sleep. You don't need more hours in bed. You need to stop carrying your chaos to bed. Closing your day is a ritual of respect, not just for the hours you used, but for the person you're becoming. When you end the day with purpose, you walk into tomorrow lighter, clearer, stronger. You leave behind what's done, and you make space for what's next. Champions don't waste their endings. They elevate them. Anyone can start strong. Most people don't. Fewer still finish strong. But the ones who do, they build a life with structure, strength, and soul. They don't collapse into the night. They rise into it knowing they've led their hours with clarity and close their day like a leader.